literally just posted a video the other day about shit hits the fan scenarios for 2025, the dark horse kind, just a sprinkle of dark horse. And I do not like saying I told you so because it doesn't make a lot of sense, but we're still going to talk about Las Vegas and New Orleans and my thoughts about it and how you need to continue your prep. Everyday carry stuff is important. But I think that as we accelerate for things that are occurring, that making sure that your SHTF, your bug in stuff, I think bugging in is very important this year versus bugging out. And your supplies, power station generators, all that stuff is important. Let's give some thoughts about Las Vegas and New Orleans. We're going to do this once again. We're gonna have it's like a Lungo, Lungo. I don't know how to spell it. It's just a long draw espresso. Last time we had an Americano. This time we'll just kind of have like a longer draw espresso. We're still rocking the rise and grind this morning. And I'm gonna pump 20 grams of coffee through my niche grinder. And I think I'm gonna pump out about 60 grams of water through it. So a kind of a 3-to-1 ratio there. So let's get this going. But I just think it's so crazy because the dark horse SHTF situations, I just talked about 6 of them the other day. One of the ones I talked about, it was the last one, and I thought it was some of the most significant and important ones, had to be civil unrest. I think civil unrest is a real thing. I think that's something that people should concern themselves with. I specifically was talking about targeted attacks, and I want to kind of dive a little bit deeper in exactly how this could have went down, how it could have occurred. I'm not in law enforcement. This is just going to be me using the dome that's on my head, using my brain housing group to try to think about different scenarios for which this might have happened. So first, I talked about that a new wave of social violence that rises to the level of 1970 could occur in 2025. Now, I put this video out before 2025, and on the first day of the year, we start having stuff go down, which, kind of makes me draw a pause. All right. Social media brings people together. It brings people together in good ways. It brings people together in bad ways. And a lot of times, for me personally, I deleted my Snapchat and my Facebook. Give me a second. I deleted my Snapchat and my Facebook in 2019 just because I felt like it wasn't allowing for me to focus. Like I just wasn't 100% focused how I thought I should be on daily tasks, on stuff like that. I felt like it really had me, quite busy, always in my phone, doom scrolling, checking up on other people and being in people's business. And it wasn't of value directly to my life. So I deleted that stuff. But there are people who are deep on the internets, deep on social medias, the dark web. And it's no longer 100% always going to be a foreign threat that could harm us. So we're going to talk about those situations and what may have occurred, but diving into my prediction to talk about the social violence and civil unrest that may occur that rises to the level of the 1970s. I said it could be riots, it could be protests, or it could be targeted attacks or killings or fires. This might fall into the realm of a targeted attack or a killing. I'm not quite sure. Both local police departments and the FBI are still investigating. So we'll know more, I guess, whenever the hell they decide to tell us more. So in the meantime, it's time for rank speculation and just things that I think may have occurred. So one thing is the first occurred was the New Orleans attack. So a man who's an Army vet, he has no criminal record. He was an American. He rented a truck from the Turo, Turo app. I guess it's like an app that allows for you to rent. I thought it was an app that allows you to rent vehicles from real people. I don't really know how it works. I've never rented from them before. He rented it here in Texas and drove it to New Orleans. And when he got to New Orleans, he went to Bourbon Street in the early morning hours of New Year's Day and mowed down a bunch of people, got out his vehicle, entered into a gunfight with police. He subsequently ended up killing 14 people and injuring almost 36 people. And he later died via a gunfight with the law. Now, a few hours later, we get Las Vegas. And in Las Vegas, seemingly, now we're going to know more about that here in a second. It was a man who also is a veteran, but they didn't specify which branch. The first guy was the Army. I don't know what this next guy is. He rented a car from the Turo app in Colorado, drove it to Las Vegas, parked in front of the Trump Tower, Las Vegas. 10 to 15 seconds later, the vehicle blew up. Now, what does that mean per se? Well, they found in the bed of the truck a bunch of firework-like explosives. I guess we'll know more about that as they continue to uncover that type of stuff. He was killed from the explosion. Nearly a dozen people were injured. Hopefully no one else passes away from that. But we have two events that have similar traits, but they're not exactly the same. So what does that leave us? Well, first off, it leaves us with a pretty good looking lungo here. Longo, I don't know how to pronounce it, but it's a longer espresso shot. Instead of doing a 2-to-1, I did a 3-to-1. Actually, I probably did close to a 4-to-1 because I really wasn't paying attention. But we're gonna drink this here in a second. But before we take a sip, I gotta clean, man. I gotta keep my ducks in a row. So similar traits for both of these issues. Okay, so both guys are veterans. As we know right now, both guys are Americans. Both guys rented trucks from the same app. Both guys drove across state lines to commit seemingly a crime. Now, I can't tell you about the guy in Las Vegas. I mean, both of them are dead, but the guy in Las Vegas, we need more information, right? So I'm going to lean that he planned it and did it all himself, but I don't know. Let's just completely lease the scenario that happened that is least likely is that somebody else planted the stuff in there. But Elon Musk is already fully participating. He's trying to distance Tesla from it possibly being a lithium explosion. He's already unlocked the vehicle for police. He's already shared all of the places where he stopped and used superchargers. They got the city of Las Vegas has records of when he entered the city. So Elon Musk is quickly running from the fact that it's Tesla, which I would do the same thing if it's my company. I'm going to stand 10 toes down and like, no, this is not a battery issue. This was something else, but we'll know more about that. But what does this really mean? So now we have a high alert for Trump Tower, Chicago, Trump Tower, New York, of course, Trump Tower, Las Vegas, as he prepares to take for the inauguration, take the oath of office for the second time, start his next 4-year term. Heightened alert all around the country. And I have a few things. The FBI says that there's no indication right now that these two events are related. They say right now, that doesn't mean that's going to forever remain that way, but it is something that we need to kind of think about. They are calling the New Orleans attack an attack. They're investigating as a possible terror attack. And apparently the New Orleans one had an Islamic State flag hitched to the toe hitched to the vehicle, or maybe it was the bumper cover or something like that. So he was either an Islamic State sympathizer or he was a member of the group, but he didn't directly come from one of the places that they would call the Islamic State. We don't know much about the Vegas driver yet, but if we find out that there is a ISIS connection, then, we have to begin to use our brain housing group to say, I understand that these may not be directly related, but there's still something to think about. Takes a sip. Oh, that's good. That's real good. Here's a few takes I have before we dive deep into some of the other stuff. First off, I think it is grossly irresponsible for people on the right. Now, I'm not saying Republicans, people that are on the right to just have, ideologies of the right to get basic facts wrong about the New Orleans attacker. I've seen people posting on social media that he is not an American or that he was put here, or I think I saw something from President Trump saying that we got to control foreign. Listen, if you're doing this because you want to promote an agenda, especially you want to get illegals up out of here, hey, listen, I can sympathize with that. If you're here illegally And, we do need to have a method to bounce your ass up out of here. But to get facts wrong about the case in New Orleans is just completely irresponsible. But the other side of the coin, those that are on the left, if you have no curiosity about what's going on in these situations, if you are absolutely not speaking out and talking about how these could be related, then that is irresponsible for you as well. Like, I don't want you to just completely just allege stuff that's not true. But if you have no curiosity of how two things could happen within hours of one another, which seem to be terrorist related, then you are definitely sitting with your head in the sand. So this is just the beginning, in my opinion. These are two lone wolves so far. But do you really think these lone wolves are not activated throughout the state? I believe it's a possibility. Now, I don't know if these are related. My take is I don't think they're related. I don't think these two knew each other. This is just me speculating. I don't know. I don't think they coordinated. They knew one another. But I do think that the environment for this to happen was fostered. Let me give you an example. Imagine two McDonald's franchises open the same day within hours of one another. And McDonald's gives the tools that are needed for someone to decide to open a McDonald's. They tell them the franchise fee. They tell them the number of capital equipment they're going to need, the approximate square footage, number of employees, how to get food started, et cetera, et cetera. Two different people execute a plan. Maybe they don't do the exact same thing. Maybe one has a smaller building. Maybe one uses less employees and uses more of the automated machines. But they both open the same day. They both produce seemingly the same product. Does that mean that those two brand new McDonald's owners coordinated with one another? No, it does not. But that means McDonald's fostered the environment where McDonald's could be open. Now, I am not equating McDonald's to the Islamic State, but what I am trying to say is that is no longer about getting young males who are virgins into a Middle Eastern country, running them through some makeshift boot camp and sending them to the States. That is so early 2000s and mid 2000s. It is about fostering the ability for men who may be incels, who may be without a woman. I believe that men who are without the warmth of a woman and don't have a lot going on are most susceptible to this stuff. They're fostered with the ideas to do it. You think it's a coincidence that both of these folks got vehicles from the Turo app, that both of them use trucks that are more durable and more susceptible and can be more resilient to different stuff? Do you think it's a coincidence that both of them cross state lines? Do you think it is coincidence that they both happened on the first of the year? No. And I think that people need to realize that I believe that terrorist organizations have the ability to foster SHTF situations. This is why it's important for you to continue to prepare yourself. I think as this investigation continues to go on, I believe we're going to learn more about actual people being activated to use these type of methods, which may be vehicle warfare, which is coupled with explosive warfare or gunfire. I don't think that this is something that just quickly stops and goes away. I think that this is a possibility where we need to be more vigilant about this stuff. That's why I think it's incredibly important that we still are very, very keen on protecting ourselves and preparing ourselves. Whatever may occur, whenever it may occur, always preparing ourselves for that type of situation. I don't think that this is the end of these type of situations. I think that we need to really focus on a couple of things. Number one is your bug-in equipment. Your equipment to sustain yourself in your house, in my opinion, 3 to 7 days. Whether it's food stores, you're making your own food, you're buying it from places like Nutrient Supply, or you're buying MREs or whatever. Water supplies, 5-gallon jugs of water or emergency water, your ability to fill up bathtubs quickly for using it for water and bathing and boiling, et cetera, et cetera. The ability to maintain power, whether you are tying in solar panels, generators, gas or diesel. I don't prefer those because they're loud and they give away your position. If I have a very, very large battery operated system here to run my house for several days, food stores as well, not necessarily stuff that is super packed with preservatives, but even if you can have stuff that is more of a fresh meat that is then frozen, deep freezers, etc., etc. If you're down with the second A, which I am, preparing yourself, learning how to use different weapons. I know it may not necessarily be needed for home defense. An AR style weapon going through a wall could rip through one of your loved one's skin very easily. So I don't recommend you run out and go get one of those unless you're just really into training on how to use it. But at a minimum, a shotgun that with the type of buckshot that is less likely to penetrate drywall, doors, studs, and hit a loved one if you were to have to shoot an intruder towards a bedroom. Safes, ways to document your family's important valuables. Maybe you put all your important documents, such as birth certificates, social security cards and stuff inside of a waterproof case and then inside of a waterproof safe or gun cabinet. Maybe you can keep them in the safety deposit box in a bank. Keep a digital copy of those online. These are all examples of bug in situations, but bug out situations are something to think about as well. What's your plan? Where you're going to? The likelihood of bugging out is because of a natural disaster, not because of civil unrest, but it could happen. If civil unrest drives your local suburbs, city, municipality for you to get up out of there, where are you going to go? Is it 2 hours away? Is it 3 states away? What's the plan for that? Who are you going to let know that you're going somewhere? If you're bugging out in Texas, can you let somebody in Ohio know where you're going because they're safe and sound? Do you let no one know where you're going? What's your plan if you need to get your ass back home, which I'm super concerned with because I'm the man in my house. If something were to happen near me, I want a get home bag to help me get back to my family. What's your plan for that? Do you made a pre-made kit? What if you were in one of those situations? What if you were in New Orleans celebrating the new year and a truck did come mow down some of your friends or injured you? What would you do until first responders get there? Maybe a first aid kit is something that you keep in your fanny pack. Maybe you don't bring yourself into all the biggest of public situations. That's what we chose to do this year. I'll throw some photos up on the screen. We did, because I have this type of mindset, we did New Year's here at the house, okay? Less likely that we're in a public situation because I do think about this type of stuff. It kind of gets on Mrs. X nerves, but we avoid those type of situations that happen. We weren't at a nice, beautiful hotel like Trump Tower, or I think that's an office building, or at a party like Bourbon Street. So it's less likely that we run into that type of stuff. But I don't want you to turn into a complete incel. I have the warmth of a woman. So you may decide that you want to go kick it. You may want to go party, and that you are in those situations. What's your plan if the stuff does go down? How do you plan on evading, fighting, and recovering? What if the guy got out the vehicle and he started busting? So you didn't get hit with the vehicle, but he did get out the vehicle and start firing upon the crowd. What's your plan? Do you fire back? Do you regress? Do you take cover? These are things you got to think about. I believe that SHTF situations for 2025 are in their infancy, unfortunately. That these lone wolf situations are in their infancy, unfortunately. And I think that significant dates and events you have to be cautious of. January 6th is approaching when they're going to confirm and count the votes for the Electoral College that happened last year. Be vigilant on that day. January 20th, inauguration date, be vigilant on that day. Any major federal holidays, be vigilant on those type of days. Just think about those and think about where do you want to put yourself on those type of days and dates. Do you want to be in the crowd or do you want to be chilling somewhere? You want to kind of be low key. Me personally, January 1st was all the example I needed to see that I want to be more low key this year than all in the mix. But what do I know? Comment down below. What do you think are SHTF situations that I'm missing? What do you think about these two situations that happened in New Orleans and in Las Vegas? Two big tourist destination cities, which I love to go to. I'm supposed to go to SHOT Show in Las Vegas literally in a couple of weeks. I got different vendors and I'm disclosing where I'm supposed to go. Okay, guys, I'm supposed to go to SHOT Show 2025 Las Vegas in a couple of weeks. This type of stuff makes me draw pause because Las Vegas is not Texas. Other parts of Nevada, yeah, They are, right? But Las Vegas is not Texas. I can't just be walking around casinos with a boomstick. I don't even know if I can walk around the casinos with a knife. I don't know the rules. I have to look that shit up. And now it makes me draw pause because the less, I have less fight measures in Las Vegas that I do here in Texas. But one thing that makes me feel comfortable, it's SHOT Show. There's probably security and a lot of folks there who are bringing the heat. I don't like relying on other men to get the job done, but that might be one scenario where I'm kind of A-okay with that. I don't know. What do I know? But with that being said, I'm about to go smoke the rest of this cigar and just think about what else might be occurring as we go deeper into winter and head towards spring. First time stopping by, hit the subscribe button. I would love to have you a part of the battalion. If this is not your first time stopping by, well, thank you once again for watching me run my grade. For everyone else, we'll speak soon.